Okay guys, I am rebuilding my BX23. This is the piston, the hydraulic cylinder that lifts the front loader. Like I said, it's for a BX23. What was happening is it was leaking, or I should have started filming this before I took it apart, but it was leaking from right in this area. It was dripping down on the floor. Actually had a big puddle a couple times. And more so in the winter, I guess, because of the metal was colder. But so I got it apart. It was kind of a pain in the butt to get this ring's the hardest part. You'll read that online if you've read anything about it. But what I used was this. It's a kind of a wrench. It's a kind of a special type wrench. It's not a spanner wrench, and it fits around. It gives a better grip than a pipe wrench, and I used to use that in a car wash that I owned quite often, and it did work. It scratched up the top a little bit, but it's not a big deal. And actually the thing spun in the vise a little bit, and it kind of scratched up the cylinder. But I'm sure that the amount of pressure I put on the vise here did not create any problems. The biggest thing that I have right now, I'm trying to lay these out, the new kit. This is the kit that I bought off of Kubota. Oh, by the way, when you're pulling this cylinder out, all of the hydraulic fluid will start squirting out of here. So do it over, probably, I think it squirts out of this one. When you pull that cylinder out for the first time, all the hydraulic fluid that's inside the piston will come out of here. So do it over a pan. I could see that I have a towel on the floor. And so my next thing is I'm going to take this bolt off of here, so I can get this off, get this piece off here. And then up inside here, I know the guy at the Kubota dealer told me that this is one that this one seal is inside here. He said that's going to be the hardest one to get in there, and it has to be facing the right way. So I got to pay attention to that as to what it looks like once I get that out. So I'm going to pull this off, this piece off. I'm going to slide it down once I take this bolt off, and then I'm going to start putting these on and choosing the ones that I think are closest to the ones that are currently on there. So actually this little one here, I'm not sure where it goes. I'm going to try to discover that as I get into it. So there you see it. You see all my gaskets laid out, or I'm sorry, all my O-rings laid out in the order that I think they're going to go in. So I'm going to stop the video here, and I'm going to take that bolt off, and then I'll try to start videoing again. Okay, I'm back. I just thought I'd show you real quick that that bolt did not come off very easily. I had to use a braking bar with a 3/4 inch socket. It's probably metric. I didn't feel like digging through all my sockets. I know I should be, but it's just a little tiny bit loose on there, but it's coming off. It loosened up pretty quick. I wouldn't have forced it too much if it was too tight, being that it might have been metric. I probably would have went and got the right socket, so don't scold me for that. So alright, I just thought I'm going to take it the rest of the way off, and then I'll show you. Okay, I'm back. Just thought I'd show you real quick. I got that bolt off. It's sitting over here. Before I pulled this off, that one little O-ring that I was wondering where it went, it goes right in here up against this little piece here. So you know. So I'm going to pull this off and set it here. Got the bolt, got that. I'm going to pull it off in order. Might as well just continue on, assuming I'm not going to have a problem. I'm going to slide this off. Oh, you know what? I'm going to leave that little O-ring on for a second, so it reminds me to put the new one on. So I'm going to slide this off. Okay, so there you have it, and you can see right inside there, that blue one. I got to pay attention to how that comes out. You see there's a ring up top. I could see that it's actually messed up. That's probably where it was leaking from. Probably the only one that I needed, but I figure I'll just rebuild the whole thing. Like I said, the guy told me that that blue one in here, this one that I got to replace, is going to be difficult to get out and get in without messing it up, but we'll see what happens. I'm going to set the phone down and get to work here and start putting these seals in. I think the rest are pretty self-explanatory. If I run into any problems, I'll let you know. Okay guys, I'm back. I wanted to show you something real quick here. I was able to dig this ring out of the top of the cylinder, whatever you want to call this thing. And this is the one that the guy told me I would have trouble getting back in. But I wanted to show you, I did not have a dental tool to pull this out. I knew that I was going to have to screw up the existing, but it faces this way. So you're going to see that this is one thing that was important that the Kubota dealer told me. See how it's facing? If you look on the other side, there's a little ridge. That faces down in this, so hopefully you can understand that. If you look closely at this old ring, there's a line. That little ring faces down. This is the new one here that I'm going to put in. He told me that's going to be hard to do, but I'm going to make sure that that faces down, and I'm going to try to go ahead and just squeeze it. See, it's good. Squeeze it. I'm going to squeeze it into that current. Now this one I can't mess up, obviously. So, but I'm going to go ahead and shut the camera off, and then the rest of them look like they're going to be easy. So I'll get back with you here in a second. Okay, I'm back. I just so you know, I had to feed that ring up facing the right way up through the bottom, and then I kind of just got it worked around the ridge a little bit, and then I pushed it. I didn't use a tool of any sort, but I pushed it around there, and I got it in okay. So the next one I'm going to work on is this little ring on the top of this little O-ring, and I believe it's this thing right here. It has a metal, sure looks like it anyway. So let me go ahead and get that started, and then I'm not sure if I'll get back with you or not, but if it was something that I think you need to know, then I'll start videoing again. But I'm going to go ahead and put this ring at the top here, and then I'll do all the remaining rings wherever they might go. So, all right. Okay, real quick, I did want to show you this. That top ring was a little crazy. I had to take a screwdriver in and pry it up. Once again, knowing that I'd probably ruin the old one, but it lifts right out then. And I'm going to go ahead and clean that up, and then I'm going to drop this one from that ring kit right here. Oh, once again, I'm going to show you that just in case you didn't see the parts, but okay, right there, goes right there. I'm going to clean it up and drop that one in, set this one over here. Okay, I'm back again with, I'm having a little trouble seating that new ring I cleaned out underneath there. So what I'm going to do is very lightly take this piece of wood, have it set in there pretty straight as I can get it, and I'm going to lightly tap it down. I'm going to set the camera down. Okay, I'm actually having trouble with that, so I'm going to actually shut this off and get back to you and tell you how I end up doing it. Okay, I'm back. What I did, because that was a little difficult, it's all flush now. It looks perfect, actually. But I took a piece of oak wood, and I just hit it. I just had to keep working it. Like I said, I didn't keep the video on, but I just can see some of the rings in there. But I just kept working it down, tapping it with a small, this is just a small carpenter hammer or whatever you want to call it. So I got that done. I got the other seal in there. I'm going to wipe this out, and then I'm going to put these seals on the outside of this, and we'll be making some progress then. I'll let you know if I run into any problem. Oh, just so you know, inside here there is a flat, there's a flat O-ring that's closer to the end, the orange cap end of it, and then there's a round one inside that, and then there's one up here. So that's the three remaining, and I got to clean up these threads a little bit too. So got the insides done, and I'm going to do these outside ones now. So okay, I'm back. I got all the rings on here. There's like a flat O-ring up more towards the orange part of the part, and then there's a this O-ring, and then there's this O-ring up here. And what's interesting is there's one extra new ring that I'm having trouble figuring out where it goes because it's not on this piece. And there is this ring up here on the, but it doesn't look like it's the same ring. So I'm going to leave that old one on. It might not come with the kit. It certainly is not the same thickness of that ring. Then one other thing I want to show you in the figures, I took video of this for not only to help you guys, but also to know how I took this thing apart. And one thing I realized, and I haven't put the new rings on this yet, but when I took this piece off, this comes off in two different sides. If you remember, this is the piece that fits right on the end. And there's one side that has like a cutout in that O-ring. That new O-ring fits right in there, so I'm going to make the assumption, because this could have went, and I even went and looked on the old video and I couldn't see it, that it goes this way with the O-ring fitting right in there. It just makes sense that it would be designed that way. And cross my fingers that it's okay. So the new O-ring's in there. I got to put these rings on this one. I got to pull that old one off of there, and then we should be all set for putting it all back together. So. Yeah, just pay attention when we pull that off in case I did that wrong. I don't think that I did, though. So, all right. Okay, I'm back. Got these new rings on this part of the hydraulic cylinder. And one thing I could tell you is that middle ring was a difficult ring to put on. And it doesn't look like it's seated as well as the old one was. Maybe I'm just thinking things, but you could see. But I worked on it for a good 15-20 minutes just to make sure, so I don't want to have to take this thing apart. But that middle ring, this is the old one, was a pain in the butt to get on. You have to take one of the other outer rings off first, obviously, then work it up onto the next level, and then up to the final level. But it kind of gets twisted a little bit. And I think it's okay, but then once again, that O-ring that I was talking about earlier in the video does fit down in there, so it's obvious that this thing fits onto the shaft with the O-ring. See the O-ring's right there? It slides on that way. I didn't, look, the O-ring came off again. That has to be how it goes, so it just makes sense. So I'm actually going to slide it on right now. And I was watching another video on YouTube about lubing up the shaft with grease and all that. I'm not going to do that. I think that it's overkill. This thing is perfectly fine, and there was a bunch of hydraulic fluid that was on it when it came out. So I'm not going to do that. These grease fittings are for the pins on the tractor. It doesn't have anything to do with inside the cylinder. There's a grease fitting on here, and then there's a grease fitting down on the outside one. So I'm going to start bolting this back together, and then I'll show you anything else that I think you might have problems with as I go through it. I'm sorry I can't leave this video running so you can see me do it, but I don't have a tripod, so and I need both hands. So, okay, see you in a bit. Okay, guys, I got this all together now. Obviously, I had to take this back off real quick from the last part of the video so I could slip this back on. Just forgot about it. One other thing is I did run some synthetic grease up the shaft of this, just because when you first put this on, it goes on a little hard. It's sliding real nice and it's tight. And I did put a little bit of that grease on these threads in case the next time I have to do the seal kit, hopefully years from now, that top cap will break off a little bit easier. Just put a little bit of just a real light coating. You can see a real light coating on that shaft, so that thing would slide up and down. And then I tighten that up, have the O-ring in there, and I am ready. Might as well start doing it. We'll see if I can do this one-handed. I'm going to slip this right over here. If I can do it. Okay, it's sliding right up the shaft. And then I'm going to start spinning this on to that. Obviously, if I had two hands, it would be easier, but I'm holding the camera. All right, I am going to shut the camera off and tighten everything up, and then I'm going to be ready to put it back on, and maybe I'll even show you how I took it off. By the way, all I did was drop the front loader onto the ground, shut the engine off, went back and forth with the controls, and then I actually disconnected my hydraulic lines to the front loader as well, and then I took the lines off of this. But like I said, maybe when I'm putting it back together on the tractor, I'll show you how I'm doing that. So okay, I thought I'd show you a quick tip here. What I did was I have, if you look back here, I have the whole thing in the vise, so because I got to tighten up that end cap again onto the cylinder here. So what I did is I just put a little, and it's the same way I took it off, so I could get leverage against my workbench. I just stuck a little pin that I had, and then when I tighten this, I didn't want to tighten this too tight into the vice grip because I don't want to damage the cylinder. So when I tighten this, it's going to turn against the table and should tighten up real nice. And after that, we should be good to go to put it back on the tractor. Okay, I'm back at the tractor, my little BX23 here, and just to show you, I put a little pan underneath the two hoses. There's a hose up there for the front of the piston, and there's a hose back there, and you can see that some of the hydraulic fluid came out. I also disconnected these. I'm not sure that I even needed to, but I did anyways. And the other thing that I did is I left the pins in right where I didn't knock them the whole way out. If you look underneath all these, you'll see all that the pin is back there. And there's the other pin. I just left it in place. And I'm going to throw a little bit of synthetic grease on each one of those pins, and then put the piston in place. And then there's these little pins that hold those, cotter pins that hold those other pins in place. So I'm going to go ahead and put that on, and then I'm probably just going to show you the finished product unless I run into an issue. And I'm going to cross my fingers that I don't have a leak any longer and that everything works well. So, all right, guys, I'll be back. Okay, guys, back here for the moment of truth. I'm going to start this up. I did check the fluid level, the hydraulic fluid level, and it's low, but it looks like there's still some showing up on the dipstick, so I'm going to chance it here, but I think it'll be fine. Obviously, I lost that hydraulic oil plus what was in the piston, and then I also lost what I lost while it was leaking. So I think it needs about a quart. The problem is I didn't put it in because the funnel that I have doesn't reach down. By the way, if you ever need to do that, it's back here. There's a dipstick, and you can see way in there, there's a red cap that you unscrew. Right next to that red cap, you can't see it on the left, there's a dipstick. That's where you put your hydraulic fluid in and check the level. Like I said, I need a longer funnel, and actually I bought a Kubota funnel, which is just probably a regular old funnel, but I lost the bottom part, of course. It's probably sitting up in my other garage. So all right, and just so you know, that is I'm going to wipe that down so I can see if it's leaking. That is an 11/16 fitting. Fits right on real well. Wipe that off a little bit too. That's 11/16 up there. That's the front and back. And I'm going to wipe all this down so I can see if it's leaking. Oh, and that's where the pin, that pin slides through, and that cotter pin goes on that side. And then on the front one, the cotter pin goes on the other side. So, and I connected all those hydraulic things back up. And here we go. Let's see what happens. Probably going to take a minute for the hydraulic fluid to re-prime that piston, but here we go. everything looking good, no leaks that I can tell. What I am going to do is I'm going to leave that bucket up. I'm going to pull this out from underneath, and I'm going to put like a dry paper towel just to see if I get any drips from it, just to make sure that it is bone dry, and I think I'm good to go. So hopefully this helped you guys. If you have any questions, leave comments below. I'll be glad to help you out any way I can. Take care.